Okay, we're going to look now at the arterial blood vessels. The first one, of course, to start with is the aorta. So I'm going to just skip to this page here. So we're looking at the picture. So the aorta, as you know, is the largest vessel in it. It exits the blood from the left ventricle. The aorta exits through it. Okay, so and then you'll see that it's ascends. So we have what we call the ascending aorta here, and then it arches over the top of the heart. So that's the aortic arch. And then you're going to see that if I had the vertebrae there, it would be descend adjacent to the vertebrae. So the other parts of the aorta, of course, as it's descending, everything above the diaphragm is going to be the thoracic aorta, and everything below the diaphragm will be, of course, the abdominal aorta. And you'll notice that everything branches off that. It's the main pipe. So now we're going to take a look at some other major arterial blood vessels. So we'll go to this picture because we're going to identify, it says identify it. Okay, so here we are here. Here's the carotid. Okay, and it branches off the brachiocephalic, which branches off the aorta there. And you'll see that it has two branches. It has external and internal. And external is outside of the skull and internal inside the skull. So feeding the skin and the muscles of the head and neck and the brain, of course. The vertebral artery, you can see it right down here. You see it's kind of neatly threaded up through, excuse me, the side of the vertebrae there. Okay, and it's going to bring blood supply to this skin of the muscles of the vertebrae that surround the vertebrae, of course, the brain and the spinal cord. Now, we'll go to this picture here because we're going to look at the subclavian. And you can see the subclavian here. All right, and we have two branches actually, right and left. And then they feed up to the arms, the upper extremities, and of course, they have the carotid arteries which branch off them and go up to the head. The bronchial, I haven't got a good picture of the bronchial, but the bronchial artery brings blood supply to the lung tissue. It's often confused with the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery, remember, brings blood from the heart to the lungs for refreshing, but it doesn't actually feed the bronchial tissue. It's the bronchial artery that feeds the bronchial tissue. The coronary artery, we've talked about those in the heart, so I'm not going to talk about those again, but you know there's the right and left are the main branches of the coronary artery, and they feed the myocardium. Keeping with this, we'll look for the celiac artery, and you can see it's a branch off the aorta. There are three branches. The celiac artery has three branches to it. The gastric, which is feeding the stomach, the splenic, of course, which is feeding the spleen, along with bringing some blood supply to the stomach and the pancreas, and the hepatic, which feeds the liver. The superior mesenteric, right here, okay, mesenteric, referring to in the mesentery, which is a fold of membrane in here, and it feeds most of the small intestine and part of the large intestine, and also sends some blood supply to the pancreas, while the inferior mesenteric, right down here, right here you can see branches off here, feeds the descending colon, or the lower half of the large intestine and the rectum. And then the renal arteries are branches, a pair that branch right off here. I'm trying to find the renal artery. I know where it is, but I just wanted to see where the word is. So here's the label, and you see that branches right off the aorta and feeds the kidneys. And that's important because, of course, our blood, 25% of our blood supply is in the kidneys at any given time. And so by feeding the renal artery, we're also cleaning our blood through there. And so the last piece of this, we've talked about this, is what's the relationship to all the arteries we've talked about? Everything branches off the aorta. The aorta is the main pipe that goes down the middle of the body, and everything branches off that.